Welcome to the Reindl Report, a podcast out of San Diego, California that rewrites the definition of mediocrity.
What you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Oh, now I'm insulted.
So join along for the ride as Paul Reindl takes you through the world of sports with insight, interviews, and incredibly bad jokes.
It just seems like the people that are so butthurt about it.
Did you throw a butthurt out there?
Yeah, I said butthurt.
2005 calls. They want their turn back.
Yeah, walked right into that one.
Now, here's your host, Paul Reindl.
Well, hey there. Welcome to another edition of the Reindl Report. I am Paul Reindl, and I don't really know how that worked out with me getting to use my own intro. I guess it's like the home field advantage today since we're recording on my turf. But this is actually a joint podcast. I am joined by a couple of friends of mine. I'm not going to introduce them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But we're going to be talking NFL. We're going to be talking a lot of Chargers. I'm really excited about this one. So, guys, who do we have on the air with me tonight?
How's it going? My name's Curtis Geffram.
Hey, and it's Kendrick Lukenbach, the voices of Bolt Banter.
Bolt Banter.
Bolt Banter. And how can people follow you on Twitter?
All right, so we're all over Twitter. Mainly we focus on YouTube, but you can find us on Twitter. Our podcasts are available on SoundCloud and iTunes as well. So definitely check us out.
At Bolt Banter on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find us on Facebook with our 67 likes.
True.
Hey,
We're
67
growing.
likes.
Yeah, we're growing.
That's like 65 more than I got. And it's just me and my dad. Well, awesome. So I'm really excited about this. I definitely don't want to make it look like I'm interviewing you or anything like that. Like, this is totally a joint podcast. So please,
Crosstalk with the Reindl Report and Bolt Banter.
Exactly. I think we both got different audiences, and this is going to be awesome. It'll be fun to kind of dive into the draft. I want to talk about some of the surprises in the actual, the rest of the NFL draft, mostly first round, maybe a little bit of second round. And then we'll kind of dive into the Chargers. I think you guys probably know a lot more about the Chargers picks than I do. I mean, after 1 and 2, I mean, I just, I'm like,
boy, those sleepers around 7, man. Let me tell you.
I mean, look, they're not exactly. So I'm looking forward to that. So I think we got the intros out of the way, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Bolt Banter, the Reindl Report. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Something that my listeners are just starting to get used to is seeing my ugly mug. So I'm doing a couple of video podcasts. You guys mostly do video podcasts, correct?
Right.
You mentioned SoundCloud, but a lot of your viewership is through YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Big one on YouTube.
It's definitely YouTube and then SoundCloud and iTunes as a secondary.
It's been cool to see it grow, too, as the season's approached and the draft has come up. We've just seen a lot of more interested viewership, which has been super cool.
Now, just out of curiosity, how long have you guys been doing this? There's my interviewing. There it goes.
So,
right? That I said I wouldn't do.
Back in the day, I want to say 2012, I started doing it just for fun, just to talk Chargers.
Right.
Because I love my Bolts. And then did some Bolt Banter in a radio version for SESU's radio. And
KCR
then,
College Radio.
Yeah, KCR. And then we just brought it back this past season, the 4-12 season, rest in peace. Kendrick and I started doing live broadcasting from YouTube, and we're here now, hoping for a better season.
I've always told Curtis it's one of those things where the technology wasn't there in 2012.
Right.
When we really needed it to be.
Yeah.
So last year,
A lot's happened.
when Google kind of managed their whole thing and changed YouTube accounts to merge with Google, I was like, hey, Hangouts is super easy to get on YouTube now. So let's get Bull Banter doing this. And it's so easy for us because we can just, hop on YouTube, give it like 15 minutes and just talk about the Bolts and then go back about our business. And it's so cool because, we can use our phones now. Our phones weren't like this 5 years ago.
Right.
It's true.
Well, I mean, one of the few video podcasts that I've done, I did Facebook Live. So kind of secluded like my audience. I ended up taking that video, putting it up on YouTube, attaching like my quality audio, the good quality audio with that.
Right.
But just for the actual live podcast, I mean, I had like 60-something people just at the time watching it. And it was pretty awesome to kind of follow along. I can chat with you and do all of that stuff. And then, and then I think it ended up getting like a couple hundred views. Because it just saves it right to your Facebook wall. So it was kind of limited in the sense that you had to be my Facebook friend to see it. But for all those, couple of people that are unlucky enough to be Facebook friends with me. At least they got to see that live. So it's really cool. I mean, technology is definitely evolving. I'm glad you threw out the KCR reference.
Yeah.
That was where the Reindl report actually originated from.
There we go.
That was where it started.
It all comes back.
It all comes full circle. So yeah, it was fun to hear that. All right. So let's just dive into the draft. Typically, the Reindl Report, I like to touch up on a lot of other sports. If you guys feel so inclined, we could talk about the Padres. But we don't. We definitely do not have to go in there. That is a sad story for another day. But
the whole NL West right now, though,
it's
so
terrible.
It's open for everyone in that division. That's what's crazy.
Right.
About it.
I predicted the Padres to have a pretty lousy season, and I don't think that's wrong. It's just like,
and the craziest part is lousy is third place right now. Well, the Diamondbacks made so many moves, and the Rockies have story. Like the Padres could easily be in third place.
Exactly.
With like 40 wins.
The fact that Dodgers and Giants are hitting a slump at the same time with everyone is pretty amusing to me too.
Right.
Everyone's in sync.
It's a long season. It's going to even out.
Mm-hmm.
Padres are going to be right where everyone thought they would be, but we'll see how it goes. So let's just focus on the draft. For anybody listening at home, in your car, on YouTube, on SoundCloud,
right
on
in your
iTunes,
earphones.
right into your phone, earbuds, right into your ears. However you're listening, there goes our sign.
Oh, hopefully that's not
Save our bolts.
So that'll be on the video.
Foreshadowing.
We had a Chargers sign that did not make it. Let's see. We are 6.5 minutes in. So however you guys may be listening, where I was going with that, thank you, first of all. And this is being recorded on Monday, May 2nd, I believe. Yes. Yep. Monday, May 2nd. So that's your context. The draft was just a few days ago. The final round ending on Saturday, 2 days ago. So that's kind of, I like to give a timestamp for these, pre-recorded episodes.
When our kids come back to it, they'll know who Laremy Tunsil was.
Exactly. Like, when Jim Rome finally retires and he's like, okay, this Paul Reindl kid, like, I want to give him a shot. He can go back to the ReindlReport.blogspot.com and he'll know exactly what we're talking about. So that's why I do it. All right, NFL draft. I just want to start. 1 and 2. Wentz, Goff. Everybody knew that, and this is really relevant to Chargers fans especially. Everybody knew that they were going to be 1 and 2. You didn't know which order, but it was pretty universally accepted that they were going to go 1 and 2, and then the draft would begin. Chargers basically getting the number 1 pick. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I mean, anything stand out to you about those guys? Like, it's just okay. Look, I know last year we had Mariota and Winston, top 2. It's still, and I could be completely pulling this out of my ass, that it's still fairly rare to have top 2 picks being both quarterbacks. And I mean, these guys, they don't seem like an Andrew Luck, like a can't miss. And Andrew Luck, I still think the book is out on him. We'll have to wait and see. He's a good quarterback. They were saying the next Montana, when he was coming into the draft. Haven't seen that yet. The jury's still out. We'll see. I don't really see that with either of these guys. I think they could be quality quarterbacks, but for anybody that's not aware, it was Jared Goff to the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, who I finally got that right. I keep saying the St. Louis Rams still, and then Carson Wentz going number 2, so to Philadelphia. So I mean, anything stand out to you guys about them?
Like you were saying, we both know that they were going to go 1 and 2. And kind of to add on that a little bit, that the development of Eagles and Rams 1 and 2 happened kind of just recently up until, a couple weeks prior. And what I like to say about it is I agree with what you're saying, where to me nothing stands out when I watch tape from them or hear, specific analysts really dive deep in who they are and how they break down. I think Goff is a very short-term resolution for a team that needs a quarterback in LA. A brand new team, brand new market. And Wentz could be a guy that you see stick around for a while. They're saying he has better fundamentals and he has maybe the chemistry to really develop him for a franchise. So those are my thoughts on both those quarterbacks.
Yeah, my thought on both of them is that with the Rams moving into L.A. right before they hit the stadium and being in the Coliseum, borrowing that from USC, that Goff's kind of going to be a new face for the franchise, kind of this young, youthful Rams. I mean, all he's got to do is hand it off to Todd Gurley. You don't really have a lot of receivers around Goff, so you're not expecting him to do much. And the Rams have really good defense. So I think the thing that it kind of reminds me of is Joe Flacco on those old Ravens teams where they had a really stacked defense.
Yeah.
Didn't have a lot of good receivers. Had a guy to hand the ball off to. And I think that's the thing we're going to see from the Rams. And they'll kind of middle around in the NFC West, but his leash is going to be shorter because once they build that stadium, if Goff's not the guy getting it done and the Rams are still down there, tanking in the Coliseum, we'll see another quarterback in 2 or 3 years in LA. Carson, on the other hand, the comparison I've heard a lot is that the Eagles' new head coach, his name I still haven't learned, he was the starting quarterback before Donovan McNabb was there. So he completely understands what it's like for a quarterback to come in through the draft and then become the face of that franchise. I think he's going to use a lot of that into Carson. I think the Eagles definitely have a lot more weapons. They've traded a lot from the Chip Kelly era, but you still got Jordan Matthews there. You still got a lot of good receivers there, and Carson can have a future. And they talk about how he comes from 5 championships in a row in the BCS,
right?
Whatever that means. But Carson is more pro style. Yeah. I think the biggest guy at quarterback, as we're going down, if we get back to it later, is Paxton Lynch. I think Paxton Lynch was maybe the best quarterback in this draft, and with the Broncos stealing him, Paxton could be the best quarterback out of this draft that we look at. And when you look at these earlier drafts with guys late, you look at Derek Carr going to the Raiders in the second round, Russell Wilson going to the Seahawks in the second round. You look at guys late and you look at guys early, and you look at Goff and Wentz, and while they're the ones stealing the headlines, it's guys like Paxton Lynch and it's guys like Connor Cook that I think we're going to remember later on down the line out of this class.
Yeah, Tom Brady going with the sixth round. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that, especially with Curtis, what you said. I mean, I actually think Goff has the more upside because I think we've seen more of Goff, and he may not be like that Andrew Luck, out of college, but we at least have a larger sample size, whereas Wentz, much smaller sample size, smaller program, not as many games under his belt as Goff. And so I think that LA made the right decision in Goff, and I think as far as success, who will have the more success, you got to look at who's got the team around them. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, rarely, the team with the better quarterback will mostly win, but rarely will a quarterback win the game, if that makes sense at all.
Definitely.
I mean, yes, fourth quarter drives, of course, you got to have somebody out there,
right.
But I mean,
someone's got to catch the ball.
You put Tom Brady on the Browns, like they're still the Browns. They're just the Browns with Tom Brady. They win a couple more games, but they're not Super Bowl contenders. Exactly. So I kind of look at the other teams, and I mean, St. Louis, they added their running game is great, and they have had really great defensive lines in the past. I just don't know. I mean, I think even with that team improving, they're still the third best team in that division. Whereas the Eagles, that division is pretty wide open.
Yep.
I mean, is anybody really afraid of Dallas heading into this year?
Nope.
No. I mean,
and the team you're afraid of is Washington, and Washington is like a 9-7 team at best.
Yeah. I mean,
so
I don't think
open.
Kirk Cousins is gonna.
Eagles.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins not taking anyone to the Super Bowl anytime soon. I mean, Eli Manning's the luckiest Super Bowl winning quarterback of all time, 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. But I don't know. I think that Goff will probably have the better career if that's where we're going. And I don't like even doing this, but I'm gonna do it. I guess I didn't really introduce myself for your listeners, but
for sure.
Paul Reindl, the Reindl Report. But I also work in sports radio. This is these podcasts that I do. These are something that I do for fun, off the air, kind of just work on my game. But I also work for the Mighty 1090 in San Diego on the evening show there. So I hear things from my co-host, or my show host, I should say, and then like some of the guests that we've had on the show. And we had Vinny Bonsignor from the LA Daily News, who knows his football. Like, the guy knows his stuff. He was all over the stadium saga and the relocation. He's a really cool guy. I've met him once, and he's a good guy. He was saying, we had him on the night of the draft and the first round, and he came on about an hour after that pick came down, and he just goes, man, the Rams believe that they have the team. They just needed the quarterback to get them there. And that's where they think they're going with Jared Goff. So we'll see. I mean, it's an exciting story for sure. I mean, new team, new city, and I should say, again, returning to their old city. But I mean, it's a new chapter in that organization, and why not go get the flashy number one quarterback? It's just, you kind of had to do it.
I agree.
Let's move along through the quarterbacks. We might get to Paxton Lynch because I also think that was a really interesting thing, and that kind of ties back into the Chargers because we'll get there. I have some thoughts on John freaking Elway, but Laremy Tunsil, dropping down significantly in the draft, going to Miami. This was a guy the Chargers had a lot of connections to leading up into the draft.
Yep.
We know he had character issues at Ole Miss with Robert Kindici, kind of pointing the finger at him, saying, "No, he was there." He has some character issues. The guy's still a hell of an offensive line. I mean, I've heard all-pro potential. The guy's got some skills. And then somebody want to fill the people in on what happened about, I don't know, 9 or 10 minutes before Roger Goodell came out to start the
it was
draft.
like 15 minutes before. Basically, the wrong video, the last video you would want to go publicly out to all social media went out for Tunsil at the wrong time. It seemed planned, and we don't really know exactly still who
he's
posted
involved.
it.
He's involved in like a lawsuit battle right now with his stepfather and like some family. So you kind of hear rumors about him being logged in onto a social media account, them having access to it, them having access to the video, them putting out right before the draft.
Right.
And
I've heard
it's a slide that might have cost him like $9 million at the most.
Absolutely. I mean, I heard I haven't heard one way or the other who it was, but I've heard the stepfather, and then I've also heard it was it could have been, I should say, a fired financial advisor that was upset. So basically, those listening at home, a video of him ripping a bong with a gas mask on surfaced literally like no more than 10 minutes before the draft started. 4:50, 4:51.
4:47.
4:47.
Specific.
Yep.
This thing goes out.
Checked it.
This guy could be the number 3 overall pick. The number 1 overall pick, really, technically. Not technically, but if you think about it. And this video goes out. He flips the gas mask off. It's him. Now, of course, he didn't tweet it out. He might be dumb. He's not that dumb. Nobody is that dumb. So he didn't tweet it out. Very interesting. You got to take it with a grain of salt because it's Twitter, but I did see several big name reporters, people that I would definitely trust and who I believe are totally credible. I don't remember off the top of my head who they were, but I saw multiple people saying, look, I've talked to team officials and multiple teams passed on him specifically because of that video. Yep. They said, we're not going there.
They said the Ravens removed him from their draft board the minute that video came out, and he was going to be their guy. And going into it, when you think about
Tennessee also.
When we woke up that morning, we were hearing Ronnie Stanley was going to get drafted by the Chargers. And who did the Ravens go and draft? Ronnie Stanley.
Right.
Yep.
Because they were like, nah, take Tunsil off of there. Even if this is a thing, we can't take any chances with that. And he just continued to slide. And we saw the Titans trade up. And when you think about the Titans trading up, Tunsil was linked to them at the number 1 pick. So it was like maybe they're going to give him a shot. And they go and draft Conklin out of Michigan State. And you're like, this is real.
Yeah.
This is a real deal.
Yep. You're like, when is this? And honestly, different circumstances, sure, but it kind of reminded me of 2004 and watching Aaron Rodgers. Like, we just see him in the green room. He's like, damn, another team passed on me. And you're just like, how much longer is this going to go on for?
Or even recently, Lyle Collins last year. Yeah. Because he had similar character issues from college, and he slid all the way down, and it looked like a steal of the draft.
I was joking around with somebody here at work saying Roger Goodell is going to come out, with the 13th pick or 14th pick, whatever it was. The Miami Dolphins select Laremy Tunsil, offensive lineman, Ole Miss. It is also announced Laremy Tunsil has been suspended for the first 4 games of the 2016 season. You know what I mean? It's like, who wants to take the risk on that?
Exactly.
I don't know. It was a very bizarre story.
It slid even more because once he was drafted, you were kind of like, okay, maybe the story's going to go away. And on his Instagram, it leaks out that text messages between him and an assistant coach from Ole Miss talking about him getting money. And when Ole Miss is a college under investigation by NCAA sanctions, and they go and ask Laremy Tunsil in his press conference, did you take money at Ole Miss? And he goes, oh, yeah, absolutely, those are true.
Yeah, they asked him in the press conference, after the draft.
And he acted like it was no big deal. And right away, an usher was like, no more questions. Yeah. And so the Miami Dolphins don't care about that. They got to steal an offensive tackle. Laremy Tunsil is past that. But when you talk about an NFL draft player, a fall player, affecting a university, in the SEC no less, it's huge. It's a huge story.
Well, the Miami Dolphins, let's pump the brakes here. They've got high moral standards. I mean, they just went and got Ndamukong Suh last year. Now they got Laremy Tunsil on offense.
And
They've got high moral standards,
when you're a rookie and you got things going on, and your OTAs are going to be Ndamukong Suh and Cameron Wake coming at you, like, welcome to the NFL, buddy.
Be ready.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome to the NFL.
Be ready.
Exactly. All right. I want to move on. There's one more name, I guess, and I'll go with two more names because I still want to touch on Paxton Lynch, and then we'll dive into the Chargers. Somebody that I really thought there was a couple of teams I'm like, he's going here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Passed on him again. Kept falling down the draft board. I'm like, damn, the Chargers might have a shot at this guy. Myles Lynch.
Myles Jack.
Miles Lynch.
Myles
Damn.
Jack.
What?
Combining names.
Myles Jack. Paxton Jack. Myles Lynch. Yes. Myles Jack, UCLA. Now, took the year off, rehabbing that gruesome knee injury. Tore the meniscus off his bone or something disgusting like that. Just wanted to train for the draft. This is a guy that a lot of people said could go number 1, could fall out of the first round. You didn't know.
Yep.
He was a complete wild card because you're like, who's going to take a chance on this guy? We don't know. But the talent's there. I mean, I would have loved for the Chargers to pick him up in the second round there, early in the second round. I really thought, I even bet my stupid friend Roger $2.50 on Venmo that he was going to go in the first 15 slots. I really thought Oakland at 14. I thought that would have been
We thought that too.
We
had a buddy from Oakland, and he was talking about it. And you saw John Ireland from ESPN 710. Like, come on, Mac and Jack.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mac and Jack.
Thank you.
We said
If not
we
for
said
just
Mac
the
and
nickname,
Jack.
if not just for the
Mac and
names,
Jack.
And
Mac and
when
Jack.
we're talking about them going to Vegas, Mac and Jack, Blackjack.
Mac and-
Let's go.
Right,
Come
Mac
on
and Jack,
now.
Blackjack.
Right to
I'm in.
self.
That's a
Right to
5-hour
self.
drive I am in. I would
Mac and
love to
Jack.
do that. But seriously, though,
But
Khalil
he
Mack and
fell.
Myles Jack on that team would be it'd be disgusting.
It would be.
And the things that Jack could do. Like, if the Chargers had drafted Jack, we would have had him at safety.
Yeah. They talked about him playing
He's at 245
secondary.
right now. He would have dropped down to 225. He would have got lean. He would have been fast. He even joked. He was like, I could play running back for them because I played running back at UCLA.
Yeah.
Yep, freshman year.
Jack is such an athlete.
Killed it.
And I think the craziest thing is when he slides all the way down, the Chargers pass on him a second round. You're like, what's going to happen right now? And the Jaguars trade up. And you go, oh, this is a guy that Jaguars could have drafted at number 5 overall. And they get Myles Jack. But the Jaguars in their first round drafted
Paired
a guy named
with
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey.
And so we looked at Chargers fans that were saying, well, the Chargers have Joey Bosa and Hunter Henry. How is that going to translate with Jalen Ramsey and Myles Jack, guys that we passed on, guys that we had talked about forever? Could you imagine a Chargers defense where you had Jason Verrett, Casey Hayward at corner, and then Myles Jack at strong safety? Myles Jack would be free safety. Jalen Ramsey would be strong safety. Wow.
Depth.
Wow.
Eric who?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right?
Like it's
For
just,
the next 12 years, that could have been our secondary.
Yes.
And we're going to continue to go back to it because the Jaguars could run away with the AFC South.
Oh, absolutely. That's
Man.
got to be the most wide open division.
You talk about how they went and got Malik Jackson.
They were aggressive.
They've built up an O-line. They've got Blake Bortles and the Allens over there.
Who's not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
Blake, he's maybe a glorified game manager, but
He threw for 4,000
he will
yards
get
last
it
you.
year.
done.
He can win you some ball
Yeah.
games.
He
got it done.
He won me a fantasy football championship. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But-
Teenage Mutant Ninja Bortles. Them fantasy teams. Get hype.
Yes. No, I mean, God, that draft, let's be honest, it was the Jaguars draft. We were all lucky enough to be a part of it.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
dominated this
Yeah.
draft.
The Jaguars were prom king, and we witnessed it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
saw it
Tennessee
happen.
also, I mean, look, they traded down. They were
Yeah.
able to still get their guy. Like, I don't know. Did
11
anybody
something
watch,
draft picks,
Yeah.
and they got studs.
Anybody watch that stupid draft day movie with Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
I
The
felt like that.
Yeah.
Where, like, you know, the manipulation.
The Browns and
and-
Titans doing the
everything,
exact
yeah.
same thing.
Yes.
The Titans go and get Derrick Henry. Like, what a steal pairing with DeMarco Murray. Who would have
Yes.
thunk it?
That would be great.
Exactly.
And they just made moves. And the Titans reminded me of, like, a Madden player, like, playing his franchise. And he's
Just
like, I
trading.
traded all these players, and I got
Trading.
13 picks. And I traded my 13 picks into 8 picks, and I got 8 studs.
Mm-hmm.
You think about teams that are just rebuilding it. And on the other side, Cleveland Browns with
Racking
12
up
picks in the
picks.
draft, more picks than the 2013, 2014, 2015. And I'm not sure that the Browns did anything to change their team.
Right.
They just,
Maybe Corey Coleman, a wide receiver, but
They're still the
they're
Browns.
just filling
got-
roster spots. At
you
this
got
point.
you got the Titans who did it right and the Browns who did it wrong, and it's just two tails of the tape.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Johnny Manziel and Gordon.
Yep.
Look at who they're drafting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Josh Gordon. That's why you're the Browns.
Yeah.
When you draft guys like that. And yes, there was some potential. I think Gordon obviously had way more NFL potential than Johnny Football. But when you get your hands on a Johnny Football coming out of college, the career that he had, you got to take the chance. But when those are the kind of guys that you're drafting, I mean,
yeah, I told one of my friends in the 7th round, like we were just like ESPN was just on in the break room, and the Browns drafted a safety named Scooby. Like when you have 13 picks and you're going to the point where you're drafting Scooby-Doo for your defense,
right?
Come on now, you got to be doing homework there.
All right, let's talk about Paxton Lynch then.
Oh, man.
I mean,
Paxton.
I just want to talk about the fact that, look, Broncos, AFC West rival, they've just been the kings of the division for however many years now, won the Super Bowl, rode their defense, had Peyton Manning, obviously one of the all-time greats, didn't do anything last year, but he rides off into the sunset, and you think, oh, you got the heir to be, you got, Brock Osweiler here, he could be your next franchise quarterback, signs the big deal, so he's gone. So now you're down 2 quarterbacks. John Elway brings in Mark Sanchez, the butt fumble. He brings in, exactly, I cannot think of anything else when I think of Mark Sanchez.
Butt fumble.
Nope.
I mean, he was tied to Colin Kaepernick. That still could happen. Who knows?
Ryan Fitzpatrick floating out there.
Fitzpatrick, Johnny Manziel.
Sam Bradford.
I mean, I'm thinking, what the hell is John Elway doing? So come somewhere in the 20s, mid-20s, I know the Seahawks were at 26, and they end up trading down. I don't remember exactly when the trade took place. The Seahawks, I think, were on the clock.
The
And then they
Seahawks were on the
traded
clock
down.
for 3 minutes, and then the Broncos were on the clock, and it was kind of like, what just happened?
Yeah, so they
Did
make
Seahawks
the
and Broncos trade.
Seahawks moved down, that's at that point, I grew up in Seattle, if you didn't know, Kendrick, and so I follow the Seahawks loosely now still, and it's not to be they draft for depth in like the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds. They drafted the offensive
tackle out of Texas A&M, though we all knew they were going to get.
Right. And so they trade down. You're like, okay, whatever. That kind of makes sense. But Denver moving up, like, what are they doing here? They get freaking Paxton Lynch, who totally could be the best quarterback in this draft. I mean, he had high draft stock last year, if I'm not mistaken. And you're just like, damn it, Elway. Like, you always get your way. Yep. They might have a franchise quarterback for the next 10 years, and with that defense, everybody thought, oh, they're slipping, they're losing Nope. They very well should. They probably should win the division next year.
And to put it into context, too, an interesting thing to notice is that they had, like, a big draft party, and who'd they invite to attend? Mark Sanchez. So this big party, they have all the players there, and then, here comes a trade. We're going to pick Paxton Lynch. You're Mark Sanchez. What are you thinking at that point?
Probably him.
Job is on the line.
I'm going to go out and be a starter for this team right now because this rookie's not going to cut it. That's
Right.
what you're thinking right now. And he fits into Brock Osweiler's jersey, too, because he's 6'7".
Yeah, true.
He can wear number 17 very easily.
I bet Sanchez and Sam Bradford were texting each other like, man, this is bull. This Bradford's pissed.
I thought we were
Where's
going to
Johnny?
be together
We're gonna go
again.
hang out.
Right. Hey, Johnny, what's going on right now?
going
I'm at
on?
a Justin Bieber concert, guys.
Oh, my goodness.
Hanging with Gordon.
At the bar. You guys see that picture?
Yeah.
Jeez.
The bar.
Sad stuff.
Did go to a Justin Bieber concert that night, though.
Oh, my
Gosh.
goodness.
It's
Classic.
the spiral.
He's a
Classic
believer.
Denzel.
All right.